Hello, I'm going to be going over some basics for the simple crochet hat for the homeless. At first, I'm just going to show you how to do your slip knot. Just take note that my yarn is probably not the weight of your yarn, and my hook is not the size that you're using. It's just because I like to use a thicker yarn and a bigger hook so that it can exaggerate the stitches so that you can see them better on the camera. So the first thing that we're going to be learning is the slip knot, and it's very simple. You're going to take your yarn and you're going to wrap it around your two fingers, and you're going to make a cross, an X in the front. You're going to wrap it around again, and you're going to loop it through the back loop to make a loop for yourself. And you're going to insert your hook, and you're going to hold on to those two ends, and you're just going to give it a little tug, and that's a slip knot, if you can see how it's nice and loose so that you can just slip it right onto your hook. I will show you 2 times each, and because this is on video, you can stop and rewind and pause at your leisure, but I will show you twice. So you're going to hold your yarn and cross it in the front. Right from the back, you're going to make yourself a loop, insert your hook, let go, and give it a little tug on both of the ends. You're just going to let it move up the knot there. Okay, so there you have your slip knot. And the slip knot is very important to know because this is how you're going to start all your crochet projects. This gives you your first loop on the hook. Okay. So make sure that you have your pattern in front of you, and if you don't have a pattern, you can get it off of the website praycrochet.com, and that on the link patterns, you'll find it uploaded on there, so you can just print it out and just make sure you have that in front of you while you're working on this video. So we're going to go over, we're going to start the band. That's the first section of the hat that we're starting. This hat is worked in 2 sections, and we're going to start with the band. And I'm going to show you how to simply hold your yarn. If you're new at this, a lot of people do hold their yarn in very different ways, but this is how I was taught. So you're going to take your 2 fingers, your thumb and your pointer finger, and you're going to grasp this is where you're going to hold your work and keep it steady. So you're always going to use these 2 fingers to hold your work, and you're going to take your pointer finger, and you're just going to draw up that yarn from the back and hold the rest of the yarn with your 3 fingers in the back. And that's how you're going to hold your yarn. And the gauge, as I talked about before, your gauge is the tension that you use when crocheting, and you'll see as you tighten this finger, you'll get a tighter gauge. As you loosen it, you'll see that it'll get looser. So it's almost like if you know how to sew, and you're you know how to sew in your sewing machine, you know the parts of a sewing machine. The bobbin is what keeps your tension. This is almost like your bobbin, and how it works is with your finger. So you're just going to keep it at a nice medium level, not too taut and not too loose. Okay, so that's how you hold your yarn. Again, you're going to take your 2 fingers and hold your work with that, with those 2 fingers. Your 3 fingers in the back are just going to hold that yarn back, and your pointer finger is going to draw up that yarn and maintain a good gauge. Okay, so next we're going to work on the band. And what it says with the pattern that we're using is to hold the two strands together. So as we had in our last lesson, you're using 2 strands of the same color yarn held together. Okay, so your first row, or your first step is a chain. And all you're going to do is draw that needle back, grab your yarn with your hook, and draw it right through that loop. So that's your first chain. And that's another chain. Very simple. So you're going to do 9 of these. So I have 3 so far, and holding that work down. 4, 5, and you can move your fingers when you're holding your work, so that you can just keep hold of your work and move forward. Now I'm going to show you how to count your stitches, because if you do lose track, you can go back in. So this is 1. It's almost like a braid, but there's no 3rd strand in there. So you're going to look at your yarn, your work that you just did, and not counting your slip knot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, if you can see that. Okay. So there's 6 there. 7, 8, and 9. Okay. So there you go. You have 9 chains. And mine might look a little bigger than yours because I'm using a bigger hook and a thicker yarn. So your first row, it says row 1. It says SC and second chain from hook, and SC stands for single crochet. So you're not counting this one that your hook is currently on. You're counting the next one. Okay, so it's not this one, that's the first chain from the hook, this is the second chain. Okay, so you're going into that chain, and you're always using the top one, not the bottom one. Okay, and this is called your back stitch. This is the front stitch. There are some patterns that you'll be using that loop, but not with this one. It's the back loop. Okay, you're working in all the back loops. So a single crochet is going into that back loop. You're going to bring your yarn through. Okay, and you're going to bring it through the 2 loops. And I will show you again going down that line. Again, you're going to go to the next one, the next back loop. Insert your hook, bring that yarn through. You're going to have 2 loops on your hook, and you're going to bring it through those 2 loops. Okay, next one. And bring it through those 2 loops. Bring it through those 2 loops. Now what you're going to see with using 2 strands of yarn is that you really have to make sure that you're bringing it through the 2 strands. So make sure you have good lighting and you can see what you're doing, because you want to make sure that you're not missing the loop of each strand, because then your project's going to have all sorts of hanging threads from it. So here you go. This is your first row that you've completed with a single crochet. Moving on to this row 2, and the band is just made from two rows going back and forth. It's row 1, row 2, okay? And then you're going to repeat row 2 until you have your finished sizing. So you're going to, row 2 says chain 1, so we already learned that. So you're going to chain 1, okay? And next it says to turn. So from working on your work this way, you're going to turn your work this way. Okay? And you're going to go back into, it says working in the back loops only, which we've discussed before. You're going to single crochet in each stitch across. So not counting the stitch that you have your hook on, which is right here, you're going to go in the back loop to the second one. Okay? Now make sure that you keep that in mind, because you don't use that chain that you just made, that one right here that your hook is on. You go to the second one. So insert your hook, and you're just going to do single crochets again. You're going to go through those two. Okay, back loop. You can see those are all your back loops right there. And back loop. And again, you're gonna notice as you progress and move forward with your pattern, if you are having a really hard time inserting your hook, that is because your gauge is too taut. You're pulling too tight on this finger. You just want to have a nice medium gauge, okay? So insert into the back loop again. And sometimes it's best to just go through one loop and then through the next loop, because you're going to find that, you know, you might lose your second strand of yarn there. So you're at the end there, okay? You've reached the end because there's no more left. And you're going to you're going to chain one again. You're just going to go do the row over again. And you're going to insert into not the chain, not the stitch that you're holding on with your hook here. It's the one right after, okay? Insert into the back loop, pull through, and then pull through the two, okay? And I will finish this row, and that will be it for this lesson. Okay, because you can continue on your own at your leisure for this week, and I think it's going to take us a couple weeks probably to finish our band. And then honestly, we're almost halfway done. So you're coming to your last one here. You're going to pull through and pull through the two. Okay, so here you go again. And you're going to notice that you're getting a ribbed effect. And the ribbed effect is because of you turning your work. So do not forget to do that chain at the end, okay, starting your row. Always make sure you have that chain, because what you're going to find is if you're not doing the chain, your work, you're going to start getting lopsided, okay? And this is going to make up the band as you go along. It's just going to be one long strip. And what I have said is don't follow the pattern on sizing, just size it to how your head fits. So, so just wrap it around your head and see if it goes completely around and touches. And when it touches, then you're done. And we will work on the stitching at another time to complete the band into a joined circle. And that's it for today. Have a great day.